I woke up to find the sky was falling. I am now in Vietnam's industrial zone. Let me show you the current situation. Look, there are very few people. This place used to be bustling with trucks and people coming and going. Everyone was eating and drinking. Now it's empty. The tariff policy has had an immediate impact on enterprises and freight in the industrial zone. I've been in Vietnam for 13 years, and this is the first time I've seen such heavy tariffs. I am in Vietnam now. Once tariffs are raised, factory exports will face serious challenges. In recent years, many Chinese factories relocated to Vietnam to avoid high domestic tariffs. And this year, more Chinese factories and bosses are expected to come to inspect the situation. Now that Vietnam has raised tariffs, especially to such high levels, its status as a manufacturing hub is in jeopardy. I'm witnessing firsthand the reality of Vietnam's economy. In fact, aside from some growth in industry and real estate, the real economy here is in poor shape. Since the trade war started in 2018, countless Chinese factories have moved to Vietnam. Back then, many believed the U.S. was only targeting China and that things would change if they moved to Vietnam or Cambodia. Now Trump is telling us that this strategy won't work. Many people tried shifting operations to neighboring countries, but now it's all falling apart. Why did Trump impose heavy tariffs on Southeast Asian countries? In fact, it's because this move blocks all our paths. We used to export through Southeast Asia to sell to the U.S., but that route is no longer viable. Many of our industrial chains and capital were moved to Southeast Asia. Now that investments have been made, capital, labor, and equipment, it will be very difficult to move again. The U.S. has announced a 49% tariff on Cambodian imports. Those familiar with the situation know most factories in Cambodia are Chinese-owned. They moved there to avoid tariffs, but now they're paying even more. Besides, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia have also been hit with tariffs of over 30%. How can this problem be solved? Unless factories move directly to the U.S., there seems to be no way out. People often say, wool comes from the sheep, but this wave of tariffs is making it almost impossible for factories to export to the U.S. As you can see from the video above, Trump's global trade restructuring, especially the high tariffs on Southeast Asian countries, is putting Chinese bosses who move their factories to Southeast Asia in a tough spot. Today we'll talk about the background of Chinese companies relocating production capacity and why the U.S. launched this trade war. First of all, why do Chinese companies want to relocate? And is changing the place of production effective? Since 2018, the Trump administration began imposing a 25% tariff on hundreds of billions of dollars of Chinese goods, covering electronics, machinery, furniture, clothing, and more. This significantly increased export costs and reduced price competitiveness. These are the reasons why the Trump administration extended high tariffs beyond China to Southeast Asia. Faced with this situation, many Chinese people feel pessimistic. Some believe this wave of tariffs will be the most damaging economic event in the coming years. There are two major characteristics of this tariff wave. First, it exceeded all expectations. The capital markets had predicted a 30% tariff with a gradual increase and a buffer period of 1 to 2 years. Instead, we were hit with a heavy blow, an immediate 20% plus a coming 125%, totaling 145%. The second characteristic is encirclement. The surprising part is how Southeast Asia has become a primary target. Vietnam 46%, Cambodia 49%, Thailand 36%, Indonesia 32%. This is a complete tariff blockade. The whole world knows our enterprises are export-oriented and our manufacturing is shifting to Southeast Asia. Xi'an has become our largest export and transit destination. The fact that these countries now face tariffs as high or even higher than ours sends a clear message. Block all channels for Chinese goods to reach the U.S. This wave of tariffs will have a major and immediate impact on the economy. People often say the economy has three drivers: investment, consumption, and exports. But a more accurate analogy is one horse and two carts. The horse is exports, pulling the carts of investment and consumption. All the money spent on investment and consumption comes from the wealth originally generated by exports. Now, that horse has taken a serious hit. What is the background of the Sino-US trade war? Will Trump target the CCP in both terms? In December 2001, China successfully joined the WTO after 15 years of negotiations. The premise of joining was that China must promise to open its market, reduce tariffs, eliminate non-tariff barriers, and allow foreign companies to enter the Chinese market. More than 20 years have passed, and it has been proven that the CCP has completely violated all the rules. One of the main manifestations is that it provides huge government subsidies to specific domestic industries, especially traditional manufacturing industries such as steel, solar energy, and textiles. This allows these industries to continue production at extremely low costs, even when global demand is insufficient, and dump them in large quantities into overseas markets, causing a devastating blow to the manufacturing industries of other countries. For example, China's steel was still exported in large quantities in 2015 when there was a global oversupply, making it difficult for local steel mills in Europe and the United States to operate. Solar panels were dumped in large quantities in the European and American markets, causing German and American solar companies to go bankrupt one after another. Although China promised to open its market under the WTO framework, in practice, foreign companies are often forced to form joint ventures with local Chinese companies and share technology in order to enter the Chinese market. For example, if American technology companies or automobile manufacturers want to set up factories in China, they must establish joint ventures with Chinese companies, and patented technologies and management methods must be shared with Chinese companies. The premise of the WTO is fair competition, but China's huge state-owned enterprise system and a large number of private enterprises subsidized by the government have obtained a lot of privileges in financing, taxation, land, energy prices, etc., forming a government and enterprise as one competition model. The CCP also manipulates currency and weakens trade fairness. In terms of export prices, Chinese products are inherently low-priced, and coupled with the exchange rate, they are more attractive, exacerbating trade imbalances. Therefore, the Trump administration launched a trade war against China in 2018 and has imposed tariffs on China and Southeast Asian countries again today. The background is a strong counterattack against China's cheap dumping and unfair trade practices for more than 20 years. Facing the upcoming tariffs, Chinese netizens who are engaged in e-commerce shouted, "The sky is falling. It is too difficult. It is really too difficult. Too many companies in Shenzhen have closed down." This company was engaged in cross-border e-commerce. It had persisted for more than half a year since last year. In the end, it still closed down. Now the office furniture inside is basically new. Others said that the U.S. tariff policy has had a great impact on cross-border e-commerce. There was a policy of $800 tariff exemption before, which has now been canceled. That is to say, no matter what kind of small package, as long as you send it to the United States, you have to pay tariffs, and each one cannot be less than $25. This is extremely terrifying. They set a line. Each one cannot be less than $25, and it will rise to $50 later. Finally, let's take a look at the video uploaded by netizens. Faced with the deserted logistics industry, they don't know whether there is hope in the future. The off-season has really come early. How could it be so quiet in previous years? The current market situation is really scary. I just walked around the entire steel market. There are basically no customers, and even if there are customers, they are very few. This year's market situation is really hard to understand. So I am a little scared. It's already past 10 o'clock in the morning, and there are no cars in the customer parking lot. How do you feel? It's very bleak. It's 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and the merchant parking lot is full of cars. At this time of year in previous years, everyone's cars had gone out to do business. How could they park here collectively? This year's market situation is really too difficult. The container business is finished this year. Fuhua Company, Panyang, CIMC, Xinhuashang, and other companies are all laying off employees. This year, the trade war began to increase tariffs, which will inevitably lead to a decrease in trade. The container ship operation industry is engaged in this kind of import and export trade, so the impact is the most obvious. Recently, I have visited many industrial parks and petrochemical enterprises and found that compared with previous years, this year's business is very bleak. In previous years, cars and ships were busy, but this year there are few people. Not only car transportation, I am now in Jiangsu, but also the business of ships and cargo ships is very bad. Many ships are parked in ports and rivers. The ship owner said that there is no business this year, the freight rate is low, and there is no activity. The logistics industry is a weather vane for economic development, which is very telling.
Looking at Adi, Anai, and Amai behind us, they have all gone bankrupt. Do you dare to imagine how difficult it is to do business this year? And it's not just the clothing industry, but the catering industry as well. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you believe it? This is the former Summita Plaza. Let's take a look at the current scene. At 3 p.m. on January 1st, 2025, the last restaurant closed down. All employees have just been dismissed. I promised to settle all wages with them before the 8th. In addition to arrears of water, electricity, rent, and personnel salaries, the total is about 500,000 yuan. I made more than 20 calls half an hour ago and still have no solution. To be honest, I really don't know what to do. There is no hope at all. Half a lifetime of hard work has resulted in a lot of debt. Have you ever seen anyone who has lost millions and still sells his house? I have. Many people say that there is no house that cannot be sold, only a price that cannot be sold. But I have lost so much now. What else can I do? Lower it again? When I bought this house, I paid more than 30,000 yuan as a down payment and 700,000 yuan as a loan. I have paid off the loan for 4 or 5 years and spent more than 200,000 yuan, but I have only paid off the principal of 30,000 yuan. Now the loan is about 670,000 yuan. The price I listed has dropped from more than 900,000 to over 800,000. And now it is down to 720,000. You said that there is no price that cannot be sold, so how much should I lower it? 720,000 yuan minus the remaining loan amount of 670,000 yuan. After the sale, I will only have 50,000 yuan left, and as everyone knows, you have to pay personal tax, value-added tax, and agency fees, each of which costs around 10,000 to 20,000 yuan. I will have almost no money left. Maybe I will even owe tens of thousands more. Isn't this price considered low? Everyone is so poor this year. Our family didn't buy anything except necessities this year. Consumption downgrade? No. No one at all. Look, my street is almost empty. When we come back after the new year, there will be even fewer physical stores. Can you believe it? It's hard to imagine that I haven't worked for 3 years. At such a young age, I stayed at home every day and didn't go downstairs for up to half a month. If someone had said to me when I was 18, "You know you will do nothing from the age of 21 to 24, I would never have believed it. But now I really haven't worked for 3 years. 2024 ended in a whimper. The media and major institutions have made various predictions about what China's economy will look like in 2025. X account Overseas Breaking News posted today that housing prices in Guangzhou have recently dropped. On December 26th, a developer in Guangzhou sold specially decorated houses at a 30% discount to withdraw cash. The initial registration price was 20,000 RMB per square meter, and the current price is 5,500 RMB per square meter. A total of 88 units were launched and sold continuously. Not only have housing prices in China fallen, but rental prices have also dropped. X account Darren Media pointed out that houses in Beijing cannot be rented out, and no one even wants them when the price is reduced by 20%. Some Chinese netizens reported that the rental price of a second bedroom in Beijing has dropped from the previous 2,000 RMB to 1,400 RMB, a 30% decrease. X's News Invest reported that before the Lunar New Year, 2,000 to 3,000 door and window factories in Foshan were facing a wave of closures. News Survey speculated that China's entire manufacturing industry could shrink by another half by 2025. In addition, Qin Peng, an expert at the Epoch Times, believes that China is facing a dilemma of running out of stocks, housing, foreign exchange, and debt. Qin Peng analyzed that China's A-shares will eventually reveal their true nature. Although the A-share index is now over 3,000 points, the economy has not really improved. Instead, the government is using publicity and policies to stimulate people's appetite while maintaining stability through the National Team Fund. As long as the economy reveals its true shape and the conflict between China and the United States intensifies, money flows will inevitably flee. Jinping speculates that China's housing market will continue to decline, and housing prices and transaction volumes will continue to fall. The conflict between homebuyers and developers will also intensify due to delays in home delivery. The RMB exchange rate will also lose value. Reuters previously pointed out that China is likely to devalue the RMB in response to Trump's high tariffs. Although the government hastily denied the rumors, everyone knows the intention. Jinping believes that China's bond market will also be under pressure. The return on investment in Chinese government bonds is falling. The yield on one-year government bonds has dropped below 1%, and the yield on 30-year government bonds is lower than that of Japan. This is an extremely dangerous phenomenon. Interest rates are rent, and the fall in government bond yields means China's economic outlook is less than rosy and optimistic. Chinese real estate companies continue to collapse. The first real estate subsidiary of a central enterprise defaults. China's economy is in recession, and the real estate sector is deteriorating. An announcement reveals that the debt of a real estate subsidiary of a central enterprise under the Communist Party of China is overdue. Mainland media report this is the first instance of such a subsidiary defaulting. On January 3rd, Yunnan Chengdu Real Estate Co. Ltd. issued a statement indicating that the company had previously provided loans to Yunnan OCT Industrial Co. Ltd., hereinafter referred to as OCT Industrial. The principal balance of the loan was 42.0069 million yuan as of December 2020. From 2020 to 2024, the company extended the loan annually, with the due date set for December 31st, 2024. OCT Industrial failed to repay the loan and interest on time, resulting in default as of January 1st, 2025. The announcement further stated that Yunnan Chengdu Real Estate would continue monitoring OCT Industrial's operations and does not rule out taking legal measures for recovery. As of the end of September 2024, OCT Industrial's total assets were 1.053 billion yuan, while its total liabilities amounted to 2.478 billion yuan. The company reported net losses of 130 million yuan in 2023 and 81.25 million yuan in the first 3 quarters of 2024, indicating it is already insolvent. OCT Industrial, a tourism developer, claims to focus on creating an international leisure resort and a new ecotourism demonstration area. The company's equity structure is as follows: Shenzhen OCT Co. Ltd. holds 50%, Yunnan Chengdu Real Estate holds 30%, and OCT Enterprise Co. Ltd. holds 20%. Shenzhen OCT Co. Ltd., the major shareholder of OCT Industrial, was exclusively established and funded by OCT Group, which owns 56.36% of the company. OCT Group, headquartered in Shenzhen, is a large central enterprise directly managed by the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission of the State Council of the Communist Party of China. Its primary businesses include culture, tourism, real estate, and electronic technology, spanning over 100 cities nationwide and numerous international regions. It has 4 publicly listed companies domestically and abroad: OCTA, Shenzhen Conca A, Yunnan Tourism, and OCT Asia. In 2022, OCTA recorded its first loss in 15 years since its listing, amounting to 10.9 billion yuan. In 2023, its net loss attributable to the parent company reached 6.492 billion yuan. In the first 3 quarters of 2024, its net loss attributable to the parent company was 2.351 billion yuan. The boss is on the run. Major brands are closing stores en masse. As China's economy continues to deteriorate severely every day, a wave of closures has been set off in the mainland catering industry. Recently, it was reported that many stores of the well-known Hangzhou catering brand Wasabi have been closed. In addition, there have been reports of store closures in many places in the mainland. According to a report by Lianshang.com on September 30th, several Wasabi stores in Hangzhou, including the Hangzhou Building Store, the Mixc Store, the Kerry Center Store, the Raffles Store, and the Binjiang Baolong Store, have been closed. Most stores have posted notices of equipment debugging and temporary business suspension. Staff members of stores around the above locations all said it was closed a few days ago. Many consumers have said that the money in their stored value cards has not been spent, ranging from several thousand to several hundred yuan. A former employee posted online that Wasabi has been in arrears with employees' wages for the past 2 months, and the boss is suspected of having withdrawn the money and run away. According to screenshots on social platforms, there are 175 members in a group called Labor Dispute with Wasabi Catering Management Commerce Ltd. Searching for Shankijia on a group buying platform revealed that there are 22 chain stores in Hangzhou, distributed in Shangcheng District, Shihu District, and other areas, all of which are in a state of closed and suspended business. According to Hangzhou Traffic 918, Xi'an, pseudonym, a chef who used to work at the Jixi Yintai city store of Shankijia, said that the closure came too suddenly. He had never heard of this news before. Because of rent arrears for the mall management closed the store on September 27th, stating, "At present, the leaders have notified us, employees, to find jobs on our own." Xiaotian said that he was owed more than 2 months of salary, totaling over 10,000 yuan, and the store manager was also owed more than 5 months of salary, including the dishwashers in the store, whose wages have not been received. Now all the stores in Hangzhou have closed down. Hundreds of our employees went to ask for an explanation, and the Hangzhou headquarters was empty. Ahai is the meat supplier for more than 10 Shankijia stores in Hangzhou. He stated that he was owed a supply fee of up to 1 million yuan by Wasabi, and the arrears of supply fees had only recently begun. When he went to the Hangzhou headquarters for consultation, he found that the door was closed. Ahai said, "On the morning of September 25th, we delivered goods to many stores as usual. The stores were all in normal business, and there were customers queuing for tables. By September 26th, it was like a system collapse. In just one night, all stores in Hangzhou were closed. For a brand that has been deeply rooted in Hangzhou for so many years, this speed of closing stores is incredible." In addition to Hangzhou, Wasabi has also closed a large number of stores in Xi'an, Fuzhou, Chongqing, Shaoqing, Tixi, and other places. According to Cover News, Wasabi Creative Cuisine currently has only one store left in Chengdu, which is the Chengdu SKP store. At 11 a.m. on September 29th, the store had reached the business hours shown, but Dianping indicated that the store was in a suspended business state. The store staff confirmed that the store had been suspended due to equipment problems and was under maintenance, with no determined date for the resumption of business hours. Public information shows that Hangzhou Wasabi Restaurant Management Kakans Ltd. was founded in 2011. It manages Hangzhou Wasabi Restaurant Management Kaonao Ltd., Hangzhou Juzan Restaurant Management Kaomao Ltd., and Hangzhou Shitun Restaurant Management Kaonao Lishai, and now has more than 40 directly operated stores across the country. It owns Wasabi, Xinjuzan, Huajiangnan, Xiaoxiaokui, Bazan, and other brands.